Do you ever wake up with this longing for something or somewhere? Kind of like you're stuck in the wrong place.
See what you think of this then.
Ta-da! What are we looking at?
Bacteria, viruses, all huddle on the surface area like little microscopic aliens and monsters.
It's scary.
Which is exactly why we're here.
I just don't think this is my kind of thing.
If you think you can do better, be my guest.
Cash, of course.
I'm sorry, I don't have any change.
Oh, really?
Control freak, aren't I?
Get involved!
Cheers, lads. Anyway, yeah. No, wait.
Oh.
Why don't you come back next week?
Hi, welcome back to day 4 of the People's Film Festival. I'm Festival Director Dustin Curtis Murphy. We have 50 short films streaming at kinoshortfilm.com/the People's Film Festival, and you can access all of them from now until March 12th for pay what you can afford. You can also vote for your favorite filmmaker to win our £1,000 film fund. So, over the past 3 days, we've hosted some great live stream conversations, including filmmaker Q&As about Black Lives Matter, homelessness, female filmmaking, comedy, and animation, plus a fascinating festival directors roundtable, which gave filmmakers insights into how to make their short films festival ready. If you missed any of these live stream events, then you can find them on our YouTube channel, and please like and subscribe. Right now, I'm chatting with 4 filmmakers who have work in the Grindhouse section of the festival. Last year, our late night Grindhouse was at midnight and showcased predominantly horror films. But as we transitioned online this year, we expanded it to also include some action, some sci-fi, and other counterculture gems. I'm going to introduce all of these filmmakers one at a time as I bring them into the room. We're going to start off with Mark Van Heusden from David French is a Piece of Shit, and I Want Him Dead. Hi, Mark. I think you're muted.
Hi. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome, welcome. Next up, we have David Lilley from Socks and Robbers.
Hi,
David.
Hey.
Good. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you very much.
Nice. And Deborah Richards from Dark Lights.
Hey guys, thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. And finally, we have Stefan and Sophie from The Ferals.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, welcome, welcome. So I think everybody is UK based except you, Deborah. You're in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning and good evening. Everybody else is UK, right?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, first off, guys, fantastic work on all of your films. Congratulations on making the official selection. Definitely love showcasing all of your brilliant work. Before we start chatting about your films, let's start just by giving the audience a bit of context about yourself and a little elevator pitch of who you are. Mark, let's start with you. I was reading your bio. You said you were a Dutch director, but you're currently residing in London after doing a BA in film studios at, I can't pronounce the name of your university, Utrecht?
Yes. Yep.
And then you moved over here, you got an MA in digital film production, and you made your first graduation short film, British Graffiti. Is that,
yes.
Is that like American Graffiti?
Yeah, that was, well, I was wrong. I made a short film about an aspiring artist, and I needed a title. And I really like American Graffiti. And I was like, well, I'm gonna rip that off and make British Graffiti.
Nice. Well, the best artists steal, right? Anything else we should know about yourself? A pitch of who you are and what you do?
Good question. Well, I'm a filmmaker, so I love films. I make films. I will try to, be a fiction film director, and I don't mind if my films make you a bit uncomfortable, which you probably noticed with David French.
Uncomfortable, awkward laughs for sure.
Yeah, I like the balance between comedy and horror. Like, some people might laugh, some people might burst in tears. That's why I enjoy.
There was definitely some conversation in our jury because you actually have a film that's nominated in the best comedy category, and we were wondering, is this best comedy or is this best horror? Where should we put this? All right, David, we'll move on to you. I was reading your bio. You have some very interesting things to chat about. I'll probably pick it apart paragraph by paragraph and ask you questions. It says you've been making short films and music videos for over 20 years. You graduated from Staffordshire University with a degree in film studies and then relocated to Nottingham. And you've been working up there. What's the Nottingham filmmaking community like? It sounds like it's got a lot of fun stuff happening.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, sort of the last few years, it's really picked up. There's a lot of networking events, and I also run a short film night as well at a very, very good cinema. So it's it's good. There's lots happening. So that's really good because it means there's a good community and plenty of people to help out on your films. And Socks and Robbers was very much a local collaboration, so lots of local talent involved in the film. So yeah, I feel very lucky to be in Nottingham because it's a good place to be as a filmmaker.
Nice. Well, it's good to chat with somebody else who's a fellow curator of film. And we also host we haven't been able to host it in a while. We've done a couple online, but we're infamously known for our short film open mic night, where anybody can come and screen a film as long as it's under 6 minutes. And we usually pack the room out here in London with about 80 people or so. And it's just, it's so much fun. I can't wait to get back to it.
Yes, they're good, those nights. I like them.
It says you were also on the jury for the Leeds International Film Festival in 2012. I believe that's a BAFTA qualifying festival, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I was lucky to be invited there. So yeah, that was great because that was just just watching the best short films around at the time and then judging those. It was good. Yeah, it was nice to sort of be on the other side and being able to sort of pick the best of the bunch.
Yeah, well, our festival is all filmmaker led. Every single person on our jury is a filmmaker as well, and it's very helpful to be on both sides of the process for sure. As a filmmaker, it makes you a better filmmaker, I think. Yeah. You've had a lot of awards, you've made a lot of films, but the number one thing I want to ask you about is you were nominated for a BIFA in 2006. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was back when there was loads of short film competitions sponsored by people like Nokia, and I don't know if that was a Nokia Shorts one or something else, but basically it was for a 10-second short film, and they had a category at the BIFA Awards. So yeah, I managed to get to the final and go to my one and only industry party that I've been to where all the celebs were. So yeah, that was quite a cool night. All just for a 10-second short film. Felt kind of cheeky being there alongside all the famous people, but you take what you can get.
Absolutely. What was the 10 seconds about?
It was a silent movie about this old man who crossing the road, and then someone makes a beeping noise in his ear like a pedestrian crossing, and then he gets run over by a bus.
Nice. Nice. Well, welcome. Deborah, let's go to you now. So I was reading your bio as well. Very experienced. You have 30 plus years of experience in the digital arts, and we swapped. You're originally from England. You're now in the States. I'm originally from the States. I'm now in England.
Yeah. The irony of that did occur to me.
And it says two things on your bio that are interesting. You're a former 5-time world bartending champion and a 4-time regional Emmy winner. And I don't know which one I'm more impressed about.
The Emmys are more impressive to me, but I mean, it's all been a journey to get here. So the bartending part of my life, which ended 10 years ago or so, maybe more, that was an exciting phase of my life. But then started getting really, really involved with film, and went to film school and did a sci-fi short and a Cool Boy Meets Girl, and it was set in zero gravity, and I won 4 Emmys for it.
Amazing.
I won Best Director, Best Screenwriter, Best Editing, and Best Short, and this was 6 years ago.
Nice. I was also reading that while in film school, you opened up your own boutique production studio and soundstage, 1905 Film Studios, right?
Yeah, I did. It was strange because as a filmmaker, I'm an octopus director, which is a bit of a slur in film school, but I do it all. So as a result, I have a lot of equipment, and it kind of outgrew my home. And I thought, well, let me get a warehouse, which turned into a studio. And before I knew it, I had interns carrying my books for me to film school, and it was wonderful having a film studio. And we did a lot of cool things like we did a video for Snoop Dogg and stuff for the History Channel and all kinds of cool projects. But ultimately, I became like a glorified studio administrator. At the end of the day, I'd be sweeping the floor and doing the accounting and all the kinds of things that aren't movie making. So So I let the studio go, but it was a wonderful experience, and I had it for a few years.
Interesting. Anything else we should know about you and your background that I didn't mention?
Let's see. I've lived in 4 countries. I started making films and stuff when I was about 10 with a VHS camera about this big. So yeah, but I never really got serious about it until film school. I for some reason, it never really occurred to me that it was even a viable career path. And, so like I said, I went to film school 6-7 years ago, and I've been working freelance director here in Vegas since, and I work with international brands from Walmart to EDC to History Channel.
Nice. Well, we'll chat a little bit more about your film later, Dark Lights. It's a visual delight, that's for sure. And now we'll move on to the Ferals with Stefan and Sophie. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Yeah.
So are you guys in London currently?
Yeah, we're in London.
Oh, because your film being set on a tropical beach had me very confused about where you guys might be calling in from.
Yeah, so, well, I'll let Sophie explain that one.
Yeah, I'm from I'm from the Seychelles, and I met Stefan, who's my partner, in London 3 years ago. We were on a film set, but I was on studying for a film degree. And in a year ago? Yeah, Stefan came out to the Seychelles, and we decided we'd just do our short film together, and that's how we came up with the Ferals.
Nice. So, Stefan, it says you used to be a child. You've been acting for a while, and you were even a child actor. Is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, performance has been something that I started dancing from the age of 3. My mum took me along to when my sister used to dance, and apparently I used to just try to join in the whole time. So she got me up there performing as well. Used to do all the dance festivals. Then got scouted by a child agency when I was 7, and had my debut in the West End doing The King and I at the age of 7, and then spent 6 years in the West End. I was young Simba in The Lion King for a bit, and also the Palladium, like I said, doing The King and I. Toured the country for a while, but then I thought it's sort of time after that. Like I say, I was about 13, 14 when I stopped acting for a while, concentrated on school. After school, went to drama school, and that's where sort of my passion for film started to come out, opposed to theatre. I still love theatre, but I remember just having a lesson on filmmaking. It was a 6-week course we did with filmmaking and editing using Final Cut Pro, a hacked version of Final Cut Pro 7. And that just from then onwards, I was like, I love this. This is what I want to do. Visual storytelling. So that's how that sort of came to be.
Nice. Well, we're actually kindred spirits on that one. I started out as a child actor as well at the age of 5. And then similar to you, I got swept up by film and production as a teenager in Southern California. I went to film school in high school, really. Had a great digital video department there. So I know exactly where you're coming from. So Sophie, tell me a bit about you. You went to Central Film School, London, and now you're working as a DOP and freelance filmmaker and film teacher. Is that right?
Back in the Seychelles, yes. Unfortunately, there's no film going on over there. There's no film school or anything. And I had the opportunity to go to one of the universities there, at one of the art schools, and just teach a bit of video editing and just coming up with short films and just teaching all everything that I learned from Central Film School, and just going back and teaching everything I know.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great, guys. So let's talk a little bit about your films. So, before I end up saying too much, I think some people watching have seen your films. I think some haven't. So when it comes to spoilers, if you would like to say something that spoils your film, great. I won't, but it's totally up to you guys. And if we do get on a strain of a spoiler, I will definitely ask some more interesting questions. So, Mark, let's talk about David French is a piece of shit and I want him dead. Great title. Tell us a bit about your film in a nutshell, as if to introduce it if somebody hasn't seen your film yet.
Yeah, so my film is set in the world of rock music. We're following a band that's on tour for the first big tour. They have one problem though, and that's that the support band they have is getting more popular than them. You got the bassist and the drummer, and they see that problem, and they blame it on their singer because he doesn't seem to be in touch with the band anymore. He's just spending more time with his girlfriend. And then they kind of have this idea that art comes from pain, right? Every artist has some kind of pain he derives it from. And they kind of decide well, our singer doesn't have enough grief or any traumatic experience to come from. So what they decide is to kill someone he loves just to give him that inspiration. And hopefully that will make their band a bit better. That in itself is pretty crazy. And I'm not going to go into spoiler territory, but I'd say it gets a little crazier from there, where it also is is it a horror or a comedy? I don't even fucking know. It just, just watch the movie.
Nice. Well, it's definitely one of our favorites at the festival. You're nominated for 5 awards. So you are in only one of 3 films to garner that many awards. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I definitely want to talk about the inspiration behind the film. Sounds very interesting, but we'll get to that a little bit later. For now, David, tell me about your film in a nutshell, as if no one's seen it.
So Socks and Robbers is it's a heist movie where the bank robbers have all got sock puppets for heads. So they've got human bodies and sock puppets for heads, and it's a kind of twisty-turny film where one of the robbers turns out to be an undercover cop, and it's got a sort of Reservoir Dogs style vibe about it, and it sort of nods back to the old sort of heist movies of the 70s, such as Dog Day Afternoon. It's a comedy because all the sock puppets communicate in high-pitched squeaks, which apparently make dogs go crazy. I've just been informed. And so it's just sort of a bit of a sort of surreal comedy with lots of twists, lots of turns, and a pretty decent ending.
Yeah, nice. There's also a bit of Christopher Nolan influence in there, I'd say. I noticed in some of that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I definitely watched the opening of The Dark Knight quite a few times when I was getting prepped for the film.
Well, it's a great, super fun film to watch. We're so glad to have it in our festival. Now let's talk about Dark Lights. Deborah.
So Dark Lights is a horror. It's set in Las Vegas, and it's actually a proof of concept of a larger project. So the larger project, rather than trying to compress it down into a short, which doesn't always work, I just kind of chose to do a character study of one of the main characters from the bigger piece. And so without giving too much away, I might as well give it all away. It's basically about a drug-addicted vampire who lives in Vegas.
I love it. And I'm glad we gave it away because it's such the drug addiction and the blood addiction and the commentary between the two, I think, just is what really, really makes the film work so well.
Thanks. Well, I thought that vampirism would be a really good metaphor for addiction. Mm-hmm. Las Vegas is also curiously a great place for vampires because you could live in a casino and never see sunlight. So yeah, that's Dark Lights.
Nice. Well, we'll talk more about it, especially some of the visual effects a little bit later on in the conversation. Now, Stefan and Sophie, tell me about The Ferals.
So The Ferals, we sort of wrote this, neither of us are writers, but we sort of wrote this with some limitations in mind, which we know isn't really the way you should begin writing something. But we obviously had
I disagree. Good job for doing that.
Yes, we had obviously a certain set of limitations with what we had available to us, mainly in terms of cast, because obviously we were on a tiny island with not many other actors around apart from myself. So obviously the story had to revolve around one central protagonist, and we sort of build it from there. And the idea being that what we could do with this lovely island, and what we could do, because we really want to do something horror thriller wise, because we're both passionate about that genre. So the obvious thing that comes to mind is sort of stranded on a desert island. So we thought we'd give that a sort of a twist with it. So the film's about a guy that's stranded on. It starts off with a guy that's stranded on a desert island. He's got an injury to his leg, which we find out how that happened in the film. No spoilers. And yeah, it's about his journey to try to get off of this island. And is he alone on the island? Obviously, you find out that he's not. I won't tell you, obviously, if you've not seen the film, who's on the island with him. But it's about his horrific, sort of terrifying journey that's a little bit ambiguous, but him trying to get off the island and how he achieves that. So yeah, I'm not going to spoil too much though.
Anything to add, Sophie?
That's pretty much the
There you go. That's it in a nutshell. All right. So now I want to move on to talking about just the inspiration behind your films. So let's start with you, Mark. I read your director's statement, and I know that there's a personal story behind it of the tortured artist and the things that happened to you on your first film. So I'd love for you to just share that story, and I'd love to know more about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it short, but I made a graduation film and I shot it in a supermarket. And I was very green when I did that, and it was just very tiny. And I didn't cover up all the logos of the place where we shot. Silly mistake, which is easily solved. We did it. We can just like replace the logos and kind of, met them out and stuff. But at the time, I was exhausted. I was broke. I'm from another country, so I moved to Manchester because I had no money. I was alone. And my tutor at my school didn't really offer the help I thought I needed to get like the film off the ground. So I thought I was never going to see the light of day because of this mistake I made. And it just made me very angry. And I wrote down the name of the guy in like a little diary and said like, I use stronger language than a piece of shit, but I'll keep it PG for now. And I said like, he's a piece of shit and I want him dead. I was really angry. And after that, I called my mom, like anyone would. Right, so if you're sad or angry, and I called my mom, and she kind of calmed me down and said, it happens, and also just remember that any artist who makes something beautiful, it comes from pain. So that you're hurt now is okay. It's only gonna inspire more things. And I thought it was very interesting, and also I use my writing to kind of to get rid of the feelings in my head. So that's why this is quite a dark film. And I thought, I'm gonna make a film about a pain artist who believe in that, like angry people who believe in that idea so much that they're going to inflict pain on someone else. And that's kind of where it came from. I just poured all of my anger out in that script, and it's in that script, and I'm okay.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's definitely one of the many purposes of art is to let out our emotions in a healthy manner, lest they come out unhealthy elsewhere. So great. David, do you want to tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind Socks and Robbers? I know initially it came from a music video that you worked on as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I recently did a talk at one of the local universities. So I was researching when the original video was made, and the original video was made in like 2004, and it was just this 1 minute video that my business partner at the time made. We just made a load of like 1 minute music videos for this local record label, just to go on the web as to accompany this little EP they were putting out. And he just did this little thing that looks nothing like Socks and Robbers, but he had this thing of having a sock puppet on top of a human body, and that visually just really jumped out at me, and just really, I thought it was just brilliant. So I just asked him if he be okay with me developing that style into something a bit more meaty. And then around about the same time, or as I was developing the script, I was sort of having not much success as most filmmakers go through. You go through sort of peaks and your troughs, and I was just trying to work out how to get my work seen. And there was a lot of sort of fan films going on at the time, and I thought, well, maybe I should do something that's a bit of a nod to to other films. And I was thinking, obviously, Quentin Tarantino, as most filmmakers do. And I thought, actually, that's when I sort of hit on the idea of having the sock puppets doing a little Reservoir Dogs style heist. And that was really what kicked it off. And then it was just throwing ideas around the narrative of films like Reservoir Dogs and Heat and other things, and I just sort of built a simple story from there, basically ripping off other people's ideas, but putting sock puppets on birds and hoping no one noticed, So it was a homage, definitely, not a rip-off. So that was really where the inspiration came from. Then I wrote the script quickly, and then it sat on my shelf unproduced for 15 years until I was working on a feature film a couple of years ago, and then I pitched it to someone just during downtime while we're shooting, and then it's one of those moments that you go, actually, that idea is really good. Why haven't I made it previously? So then we got going and got busy and started making it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Deborah, what was the inspiration behind Dark Lights? Oh, you're on mute.
It was an homage to actually to Blade Runner. The initial theme in Blade Runner was "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" And I just twisted it around, and I was like, "Do monsters have bad dreams?" And then I was like, "Well, what does a monster's bad dreams look like?" And so it spun off from that. But also there was I feel that Las Vegas is a character in the short as much as the main character.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to display the dichotomy of her character as well as the dichotomy of Las Vegas. So you have all the beauty and glamour, and then all the grit and seediness of the back streets, so it's like all things, it's a bunch of different ideas cobbled together. But the initial genesis was that what does a monster's bad dreams look like?
Interesting. And I can definitely see the visual Blade Runner influence, although you definitely took it and made it your own.
Oh, there was definitely lots of nods. I mean, there was two characters in there, Roy and Joy, which was Roy from Blade Runner 1 and Joy from Blade Runner 2. So there were lots of subtle little, and the Johnny Walker bottle, lots of little subtle nods to Blade Runner to say thanks.
Nice. Love it. So Stefan and Sophie, what was the inspiration behind it? I think you touched upon it briefly when you were telling us just about what the film was about and where it came from. But beyond that, any other inspirations?
Well, yeah, basically it was more just we wanted to see what we could do with the little amount that we had, because it was so limiting. So like the equipment, just Stefan and my two nieces, we were on this island. So we just wanted to see how good we could be at just producing our first passion short film. Just using the two of us and using also just the nature that we're surrounded by. We just wanted to see if we could like feature that in there as well.
Yeah, it was sort of well, obviously when we started to discuss what sort of story we wanted, things that the things that came to mind that I wanted to sort of use as inspiration to the script were like the scary children, obviously, which is a little bit of a spoiler, but hopefully that's not too much. Sort of things like The Ring. But also, I used to love the series Lost, and that whole sort of eerie. You're on a desert island, or what is going on? You don't quite know what's in the forest. That was sort of the inspiration. There's like the plane scene that for me really sort of has a Lost feel to it. But yeah, like we say, it was the project was mainly sort of a thing because it was the first thing we'd worked on together independently that wasn't for anybody else. It was like an in-house short because we've only recently started up our production company. Made it a privately limited company only this year. So last year, again, it was the first thing that we'd done, first thing that we'd worked on together. So the inspiration behind it was really what can we do with zero budget, with a very limited amount of resources. And like we say, we're both passionate about horror thriller sorts of films and creating tension through digital photography, and also creating the whole. I had a sound guy come in and compose probably about 95% of the underscore for the score for the whole track, and that again was a really exciting point of it, just to sort of develop that tension build and that getting your heart racing, even if it's just a single shot that without the music maybe wouldn't get any feels to it, you know?
Yeah. Well, that I mean, the way you made the film is definitely very in line with the values of Kino London, Kino Short Film, and our entire organization, to where we always try to encourage everybody to get started with the pieces that they have in front of them. I think too often people wait for all the money to come in before they get started, or, you know, they spend so much time focusing on their first thing having to be some huge opus. So I really, really commend you guys for, you know, getting started with what you have. And I know you were working with a micro budget, but it doesn't really seem like it. So this is like the perfect segue into my next question, which is all about just like budget and funding and working with what you have. A lot of filmmakers would pay a lot of money to go to the location that you were in. Mm-hmm. You have a, you know, a crashed airplane, you have beautiful beaches, you have all these interesting things. How did you get so lucky to have those pieces to play with on your first collaboration together?
So it was luck. We were blessed, and it was sort of favors that we pulled in. Now that I'll let you explain the island.
Yeah, well, my uncle runs a hotel on the island, and I was working there for like 3 months at a time in 2020. And yeah, so the only way to get there onto this island in the Seychelles is by plane. So in terms of all the plane shots that we have, we had to use a plane anyway, so we just got our camera and just started filming as soon as we got there.
Just check with the pilots, and they were like, yeah, we're fine for you to film, we don't care. So like, fantastic. No release forms, or just
and obviously we didn't have to pay for flights because my family helped us out with that, because I was working there for.
So yeah, Sophie's nephew and niece that feature in the film, Sophie spent a lot of time out there looking after them and babysitting them while the hotel's being run. So we're sort of pulling in the favor, like, would you guys mind if we come over? And the kids can get involved, and it'll give them something to do during the daytimes as well after their schooling. So yeah, like we say, we were very blessed, very lucky, and we understand that that's not normally what you're able to do with your first short film. But it, like we say, it was one of those things that we wanted to see what we could do on a minimal budget, and we love to try to up the production value without actually having to up the budget, which always obviously makes things look better. And it was sort of like a precursor to what we wanted to do next, because we have so many other projects that we wanted to do, and it sort of has pulled off, hasn't it? Yeah, I won't talk too much about this, but we are currently now in pre-production, and we're filming our next short at the end of this month. Nice. We've managed to get a bigger budget for, and a big crew finally, so we don't have to do everything ourselves, which is exciting.
Nice. David, I'm going to go to you next because I know that your film was crowdfunded, and I have some experience with crowdfunding. I find it extremely difficult to do. Can you tell me about your crowdfunding experience and any of your hacks and tips?
Yeah, it was extremely difficult to do. It wasn't a great experience. I was surprised because we had a lot of buzz around Nottingham, so I was networking quite a lot. And there's one thing when I was talking to people that I picked up on really quickly was a lot of people had heard of the film, but then sort of translating that into people investing in it was kind of tricky. And I think part of it, we made quite a few mistakes. I mean, we got the money in the end of a sort. I mean, we self-funded it as well, so we went way over. We tried to raise £5,000 and sort of got there in the end, but we had to put in our own money and then put in additional money for the festival, festival fees and those kind of things. But I think we put a really good campaign together and tried to make it as attractive as we could. And one thing I was really conscious of was that I didn't think people would believe we'd be able to do it. And through sort of conversations and feedback I got, I think a lot of people didn't believe that we could actually do it because the concept was so unusual. And we did shoot a lot of test footage because we needed to check that we could do it. And what I mean by that is the actual superimposition of the heads of the sock puppet heads onto the bodies and making sure that looks decent and try and show people what it's going to look like. So I think if they could see it, then they would come along the journey with us and be willing to invest. But there was just some kind of blockage that just didn't quite translate to people putting their hands in their pockets. And I think one of the mistakes possibly made was that we didn't offer a lot of physical rewards, so we kind of just wanted everything to be online and sort of send out links and that. And I think one of the big things I learned was how much I think people do want something physical that can be, you know, put in the post to them, or, you know, they can actually take away with them. But yeah, I mean, we got the money together to make the film. We worked closely with some great locations, so like the diner location that we used. We struck up
the bank. I was going to ask about the bank. That seemed like a super hard location to get.
Yeah, that was the council house in Nottingham. That was we got in really early with them, and they were great actually. They just wanted a sort of nominal fee, so they didn't want the full fee to actually book it. So that was just the ballroom in the council house, but they were really supportive of filmmakers. And the diner, we paid them a small fee. But then what we said to them was I went on their website and noticed that they didn't have any decent promo material. So I said, well, what we'll do is while we're filming, we'll also do you some interviews and some promo and some photos and bits and bobs. So we kind of had a bit of a trade of skills for them to, you know, to let us shoot there. So yeah, it sort of did a bit of wheeling and dealing, and as you do. But one of the biggest things we spent our money on was actually the catering, because I always believe you should look after your cast and crew. So the catering was really good on the set.
Nice. Yeah, 100% agree with that. So as far as Mark and Deborah, I don't know much about the funding processes or what you used. Who would like to go first and just tell me a little bit about your processes with this? Deborah? Mark?
Sure. Let's see. Dark Lights was ultra small budget. The producer Patrick and I, we disagree about how much we really spent in the end. He thinks it was closer to $3,000. I think it was closer to $2,000. But it was also shot over a really long period of time. It was shot over 3 years, and because I had like a couple meltdowns for a year at a time, and I actually turned my back on film completely and put all my cameras in storage and didn't touch Adobe for a year in the middle of it. So it was very over a really long period of time. The other thing is that I was always taught you can always solve any problem in movies by one of two ways. You can either spray it with the money hose, or you can get crafty. And I don't have a lot of money to spray things with the money hose. So I had to get crafty. And actually, 25% of the movie was shot in my apartment. It's very, very composited. It's 74 VFX shots in it. So
right. So I was going to ask about that later.
Yeah. So it was really stretching a penny a real long way, you know.
Yeah, I think any short filmmaker certainly understands that. I think that's what we all do. How little can I spend and make it look like I spent a lot?
Yeah, and I think we're really happy with the result. We think it looks like $20,000 short, but it was in reality it was just a couple $1,000s.
Well, that's just a testament to the work that you put into it yourself. You know, as you said, the term I've never heard before. You said an octopus filmmaker. It's definitely not a bad thing in my book. I love, you know, anybody who has such amazing skill sets to take on so many different roles like you do.
Thanks. Well, I mean, you know, film is collaborative. We all know it's a team sport, right? And that's the beauty of it. It's the only art form that really is collaborative like that. But sometimes we don't always have the privilege to work with others. And when I was putting this together, I really didn't have anyone other than my producer, Patrick Wirtz, to rely on. So I ended up being the writer, the director, the DP, the camera girl, the drone pilot, the editor, VFX artist, sound designer, colorist, and even had to write some of the music. So
yeah, that's amazing. Well, good job for not letting any lack of collaborators stop you, because that's the biggest thing, even when I teach filmmaking, is just keep going. No matter what, just keep going.
Absolutely. And the great thing about that is now, after doing this, I have a lot of people that want to collaborate with me. So.
Yeah. One thing gets another. Mark, what is your process with financing and budget, and how did that work out for you, for David French?
So the budget for our film was probably a bit higher than yours. So we had £13,000 budget for the film eventually. I had a small crowdfund, which got like 2,000. And I was lucky enough to be working as a freelance editor quite a bit for 2 years before I made this film. So I made some money. So I put in the 11,000 myself. Don't do that ever. So I spent all my money on this film, and I'm happy I made it, but it was tough. Like, I was in debt after that. But I also, like, finding film funding is really hard. You know, it's so hard. And I thought, who wants to give me money for a film that is about despicable characters trying to murder someone by a guy who no one knows, because I just did my grad film. But I just really felt I needed to make that film. And it's got concerts and fights, so it, you know, and also we wanted to pay all the crew their wages. We didn't want to like get people for free. So yeah, I just got in like £11,000 of my own money, burned myself out, but we made this movie, and I'm very happy with that.
Well, and a lot of financing is especially difficult with short film, and a lot of it is proof of concept for features, and features is really where things go with it. Are you thinking that this can be used as a proof of concept for a feature? Is that something you're working towards?
This one, no. This one is finished and done, but the next short I'm working on is the prologue to a feature. So the next one is a proof of concept. Yeah. Nice.
Just on that note, I'm going to bounce back to you, Deborah, real quickly, since I know yours is a proof of concept for a feature. Can you tell us a little bit about that development process, where you're at with it, and how short film has enabled you on your journey with making that, eventually making this feature?
Sure. Well, it's been a 6-year journey. I started writing Darklight 6 years ago, and it was going to be a feature. And I met up with this company in Hollywood that I thought was going to raise the money for my feature. So I sold my car to pay them, and they didn't raise a penny. And just as I was starting to do some of the VFX tests, I realized that this was going nowhere. And so I got really despondent, and that's when I quit for a year. And my producer, Patrick, came up to me and said, well, what about, using some of those VFX tests for a short, and we could do the proof of concept. And I just got really frustrated with telling people what it was going to feel like and look like. And I'm not a professional pitcher, I'm a professional filmmaker. So why don't I just go out and make it and show people instead of tell them? So that's what I did with that. The irony of all of this is I'm actually in the process right now. I'm actually in pre-production to shoot my first feature this summer, and it's nothing to do with Darklights. That's the irony. But,
well, congratulations, at least.
Thanks. Darklights led to me winning a competition recently in Vegas called the Lucky 777 Filmmaker Challenge. And they basically awarded 7 filmmakers the opportunity to make a feature. And I was one of the lucky 7, so that's what I'm working on right now, which has nothing to do with Darklights, which is the irony, because Darklights got me that.
Yeah, well, it sounds like an interesting competition. I'm going to look it up myself after the call.
I'll send you the link. It's just for Vegas.
Just for filmmakers based in Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. David, features. I think you've actually worked on some features, right?
There was one big one, well, not massive, a low budget feature film a couple of years ago called Cannibals and Carpet Fitters. I think it's on Amazon. And yeah, that was fun. That was just a friend making a feature film, and a lot of Nottingham people were working on it because it was based on a short, and they shot the short locally. So I just used it as an opportunity really to get involved with a feature film, because up until that point I hadn't been heavily involved. So I was one of the associate producers, and then just turned up and sort of helped out on the shoot in a limited capacity. But yeah, that was lots of fun, and taught me a lot about how other people make films.
Yeah. Any thoughts on using short film as a springboard for feature filmmaking, or are you staying the short route?
I mean, I'm developing a feature script, but it's just taking ages. I've got ideas, but it's yeah. I mean, it's always good to see a good short that can translate into a feature film, and I think particularly with Cannibals and Carpet Fitters, the short was amazing, and you know it was easy for them to translate it into the feature. Because they had something to, showcase investors and show that they not only had talent as filmmakers, but they also had a strong concept that, that had the legs to be expanded.
Nice. Let's go to Stefan and Sophie. I know you guys aren't working on a feature, but you're working on your next short. So again, springboard from short to short, and it sounds like you have a lot on board. So what do you see your trajectory being, from short film to short film, eventually to feature? Or
yeah, I mean, like we say, the Ferals was a tester to see what we could do, and also to be able to then make a bigger, better short with a budget, which we're doing. Like I said, towards the end of the month. This one's going to be an action short. It's called Perolari. And it's like I say, but because of the Ferals and the response we got from it, which is fantastic, people have faith in us a little bit more now as to what we're able to do, which is like I say, the reason that we sort of did it, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So so the Perolari is the idea for that is to hopefully be eventually developed into either a feature or a web series, because we've brought on board a writer who's delivered us a fantastic script, and we're on draft 6.1. I think there's been about 5 points of each draft so far. So the amount of material that we've gone through, we have enough material to write. You keep saying I've got more material than Spielberg. So we've got enough material to do, a whole trilogy if we needed to with it. And it's sort of inspired by current events as well. And I feel like it's a lot more relatable. People can relate to this one, and the way that it's written, what I asked the writer to do is sort of leave, like, you still sorts of rounds off the story, but we wanted the story to be left with the audience wanting more, wanting to find out what happens next.
Yeah.
So even though it is going to be a 15-minute short, the idea is to use that as a pitch for funding for a feature.
Nice. Well, yeah, that makes absolute sense. And using short films as calling cards as well makes absolute sense. So you're definitely on that journey. One thing that I wanted to move to is about distribution. I know some of you are doing the festival circuit. Some of you are kind of post-festival circuit. I know for the Ferals, you're kind of, this is probably one of the last festivals that I think you guys probably plan to play out, because you've released it on YouTube already, right?
Yeah.
And you have over 11,000 views. So, I mean, not viral, but I still know tons and tons and tons of filmmakers that would want at least that many views. How have you found online distribution? You distribute it yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, we crowdfunded for distribution of films and also for post-production for the Ferals. We got £1,000, which was very, very helpful. And with that money, I think we spent, £500 on just
marketing.
Yeah, marketing. And
I mean, Sophie, you've done a social media course. Sophie's a social media whiz and website design and all. So all that stuff I leave to Sophie, and she's amazing at it. So that was sort of I put the views down to the work that she's done.
And one of the things that was really funny, because I live on a very, very small island, we posted the Ferals onto Facebook, and we put like 10 pounds or dollars or whatever it was to make it go viral, sort of in Seychelles, to make it an ad. And no joke, I'd literally be like walking around, everyone would be like, "Oh my God, you're the one with the Ferals," because it circulated around the country so quickly because everyone just talks. But obviously, it's only been like the last couple of months since we've had so many views on YouTube, and we think that's because we put it into so many film festivals, and it must have gone viral on different film festivals as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was the obviously with the pandemic happening, a lot of film festivals have been postponed. Yeah. So when we entered it into all the film festivals, we entered last summer. Some of them are only now being shown, which is obviously why it started being viewed last year, but it's getting more and more views now because the festivals are starting to be able to happen. So it started to pick up a lot more in the last couple of months. which is nice because, like we say, we've started to work on this new one. We haven't forgotten about the ferals, but then suddenly we started getting more comments on it, more subscribers, more views, and it was like, wow, this is still going. This is still really picking up. It's not died off yet, which was it was pleasing to see, wasn't it?
Nice. Mark, let's go to you next. I believe you're starting to transition online as well with, is it director's notes or film shortage, or who's?
It was film shortage, yes.
Film shortage. Yeah. So how are you finding that whole process of releasing it to the world online?
I mean, it's a relief, like, that everyone can see it. It's just like, I'm really bad with social media and stuff. So I'm happy to go onto film shortage. That was a very nice platform. But other than that, I just leave it alone. Like, I just don't know what to do. But no, I've got really nice replies. Like, I've got like messages from people saying like, no, they really liked it, and it's got nice reviews and responses. So yeah, that was just very nice. Yeah.
What was the process of getting it onto Film Shortage? Because I'm a little undereducated on their platform. I know of it, but I've never actually tried to get on it myself.
It's kind of like with the other ones, like Short of the Week and No Budge. You submit for a small fee, like a very small fee, and then they'll let you know if they want to screen it or not. And Film Shortage said, yeah, we really like your film, so we want to premiere it on our site, which is very lovely.
Nice. When did it premiere?
November 2020, if I'm correct. Yeah. So
and then
how year after we shot it. Yeah.
Nice. And how are you finding its reach? Is it reaching as many eyes as you would like it to reach?
I think it's got like a tiny amount of views at the moment. It's like 650 or something. Of course, I think everyone wants their reach to be bigger. I just don't know how. And I'm like, you know what, this is fine. It's on my reel. I'm just going to make a next one. And also, like the last film, like this, David French, I also produced, directed, wrote, edited. And on the next one, I'm going to have a producer and some other people to kind of share the message with, because I'm kind of like putting it out there myself, and I think that is also not working with you, basically. Yeah, it's good to get other collaborators with different skill sets to fill your your voids. Also, just to kind of relieve the weight of your shoulders. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. David, where are you at as far as short film distribution? Are you still on the festival circuit, or are you getting online?
Yeah, I'm about ready to get it online. I'm wrapping up the festival circuit. I'm really bad at doing online distribution, so I'm just weighing up my options, because it's one of those things you only have one chance to make a good first impression, and I see it's got potential to do quite well online, so I'm just looking at options to see if I can get any assistance to really push it online, because I know what I'm like. I'm pretty clueless and not very active online on social media. So if I can get some help, that would be great. I'm looking forward to getting it out there, and I'm also going to be looking at places like director's notes and Short of the Week and those kind of things to see if they can help and get some views on it. Nice. Well, one of the things that we're going to send an email out after the festival as well, but we have our own Short of the Week program, and we're not exclusive. So it's one of those things to where like we would actually encourage you guys to go to director's notes or someplace like that and premiere there, and then give us the link. We'll write a blog about it, and we'll help direct people towards it as well. So that goes for everybody. When you're ready to go online, reach out to us and we'll help push it a little bit. Debbie, so what are you thinking about of distribution with it? Since it's a proof of concept for a feature, do you want to keep the reins in on it, or do you want to let it go into online?
I really haven't thought about it. Honestly, we just finished it like 8 weeks ago. We figured let's have a year of festivals, see where that takes us. So it's only been 8 weeks. We've already, I think we've already got like 8 or 9 laurels in 8 weeks, which is a really great start from my experience of shorts. So I don't even, right now I'm so consumed with getting ready to do my feature that I haven't really thought about life outside of dark lights, outside of the festival circuit. Obviously we've got a year of festivals and see what happens, but you know, I've always been. I was always told there's no real place for shorts outside of festivals. There's no real distribution avenues. I mean, there's so limited distribution avenues for shorts that you know, I just want to get it out into festivals and see what that brings in terms of contacts and networking and exposure, and see where that takes us.
Nice. Well, I think being a genre film definitely helps you guys out as well. I would say, in my experience with festivals and online networks, people who make horror films and the people who love to watch horror films, they are really, really nice people who love to support everybody. And they're some of the friendliest festivals I've ever been to have been horror festivals. So you're in good hands.
Awesome.
Real briefly, because we're about hitting an hour, so I want to wrap it up here pretty quickly. Just want to have a real quick conversation just about the visual effects in some of your films. I know not all the films had visual effects, but let's just start with you, Debbie, since you had 74 visual effects in Dark Lights, and
yeah,
I'm a bit, you know, I know this much about visual effects. I don't deal with it very much, so tell us about your process with that.
Well, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, nothing is what it seems in that short. Even like the tattoo on her back, she didn't have that tattoo. So everything is like, there are shots of an apartment and the walls weren't there, you know, so it's all very, very smoke and mirrors. So much of it is just trickery with common objects like milk and who knows what. So yeah, fun fact though, it was so much editing that by the time it was like 2 months of editing and like 12, 16-hour days. And I actually had bloody elbows at the end of it. It was that much, it was that intense. But yeah, a lot of VFX, a lot like, at the end when the vampire transforms, all that stuff that looks like makeup, it's not, it's VFX. Even the scars on the junkies' faces, that's all VFX. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, well, it's very, very effective smoke and mirrors. David, your film is very you know, visual effects heavy as well. What was your process? I've seen some of the behind the scenes stills, so I know you did have actual sock puppet masks that you were wearing at some point, but then you also like did green screen heads and things like that.
That's right, yeah. So we were originally going to do all the sock puppet heads in VFX, but then as we got closer to shooting, we realized that it was going to add loads of time on the end of the film and also increase the budget a lot. So we worked out that we could actually have 3 of the heads. We just made masks for those actors to wear, and then for Sniffer, who's the main robber, he wore a green hood, and then we subsequently filmed the sock puppet in post production, and just cut his head off and dropped it on. It was, well, for me it was easy, but for the effects guys it was a bit trickier. But yeah, it was. We tried to be practical and tried to keep the effects shots as down to a minimum. Just because the post production took ages anyway. But that's because I was paying my VFX guys, but unfortunately I wasn't paying them as much as the BBC was paying them, because some of them had BBC jobs at the same time. So I had to wait my turn, which was a bit frustrating, but understandable. Yeah, and then, but yeah, so it was a mixture of practical and VFX to try and get the balance between it looking good but not costing too much and taking too long.
Yeah. So, Mark, Stefan, Sophie, did your films have any visual effects? If so, we can talk about that. Otherwise, we can move on to the next question.
2 shots, but they're very hidden. One was because at the end there's a fight and the guy's walking with a murder weapon, and in the second shot we did, the murder weapon was like on the table, that like where the victim is. So we just clone tool that out. That's like just a little removal thing. And there's a spray, like I tried to do everything practical, but there was one thing we couldn't do. It was like a spray of blood into someone's face. That didn't work out on set. We just VFX that in, but also it was 8 frames. The shot was 8 frames. And I was like, well, if it's fake for 8 frames, you can get away with that.
Yeah.
And that's all. The rest was all practical.
Well, I mean, clearly it was effective because I didn't thought you didn't have any visual effects. So
I ruined the magic for you there.
Steph and Sophie, did you have any experience with visual effects with your short?
Minimal. I mean, one was unplanned, and it was sort of a save because once we finished filming it, I came back to the UK, and then it was just as we went into lockdown. So I just locked myself away in my house for the first 2 weeks of our lockdown, and started editing. And obviously we couldn't fly out to reshoot anything. So the main one that's I think hopefully not super obvious, but it sort of is the shark. Obviously that's not a real shark. However, the story about that is quite interesting because the day we were filming that, we went out wakeboarding. So we took the boat out and we were just having a bit of fun. First time I'd ever wakeboard myself, and I'm terrified of the ocean a little bit and of sharks. And it just so happened that day while I was on the wakeboard, I had my GoPro on me to catch some of the shots of the first person point of view. And I just, second time round, I'd come off of the wakeboard and Alistair, one of Sophie's friends, started, and he's a wind-up merchant. He's the sort of guy that would take the mick and scare you whenever he can, but started screaming, "Shark, shark." And I sort of said, like, "Yeah, all right, mate, whatever." And then it was only when he physically pushed Sophie out of the way and leant over the boat to reach for me that I didn't question it and swam, and I was actually being chased by a shark at that point, which was, but unfortunately I turned the camera off and I wasn't rolling. So we had to then obviously use stock footage and try to blend that in with the footage that we actually had caught. I don't think I was in probably any real danger. I never saw the shark myself, but he was adamant it was a shark. No one else really saw exactly what it was. But that was that one visual effects shot. The other one that wasn't planned was the last shot with the blood, where you see me sort of all bloodied up, and I just like I say, the shot that we'd had at the time didn't quite work and do what we wanted to, so I had to reshoot that in my bedroom, just quite close so that you couldn't see that I wasn't on a desert island anymore, and I did some small sort of masking by putting like bloodshot eyes in and doing that per frame, but and a couple of blood splats here and there, but it was minimal visual effects for us.
Yeah, nice, very effective. So I want to wrap things up. Obviously we cannot network in person, unfortunately. However, I know you guys are working on projects, so just some of you have already mentioned what you're working on, so the final thing is just, what are you working on right now, and are you in need of any collaborators? And if you are, which collaborators, and how can they get a hold of you?
Yes, we sort of, like I say, we're working on Perusia. Collaborators, we are currently trying to find, we're trying to cast a young girl for one of our scenes up in Leicester, which is obviously near Nottingham. So I don't know if David has any contacts or any casting directors that you might know up there that might be able to help us out. And apart from that, for the time being, I think we've got the rest of the crew. I mean, we're shooting in a month, so we've had to sort of try to get things sorted. We might need a visual effects person because, like we say, we had minimal visual effects in the last one, and we don't have any of those. I'm not sure exactly what VFX are going to be needed for this. But we're using, for example, blood squibs, some gas-powered squibs for the blood effects, so that we can capture that live on set, so we don't have to do too many visual effects for that either. Because I feel like it would look a little bit better if we capture it in real time. But there might be something that we might need in terms of visual effects stuff. So that's the only thing that I think we'd be looking for the time being.
Nice. Well, I'm sure some of the people on this call, after we go live, we can chat a little bit, and maybe some of these people can help you out. For now, while we're live, Mark, what are you working on next, and are you in need of any collaborators?
So I have a producer on board to make a new short film, and I mean, we're very early stages. We're trying to get the funding in. We were hoping to work with the same DP who shot David French. And other than that, I have people in mind, but everything's still open. I wouldn't say like I'm in need of collaborators, but anyone who can send over an email and wants to have a chat. I was going to say a coffee or a beer, but that's not going to happen for at least 4 months. But if you want to have a Zoom call, I'm always open for that.
How should they get in touch?
You can go to my website, which is just like my name, markvanheusden.com, and then you have my phone number and my email on there.
Great.
Or
Great,
Instagram.
great.
It's also easy.
Nice. David, what are you working on, and are you in need of any collaborators?
Yeah, so I'm currently working on a short script as well with some of my local collaborators, and it's a take on Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, but with drones. We're just weighing up how far to take it, because there seems to be a lot of films with drones in them at the moment. So we're developing the script and seeing if we can create something original. And again, it's in early days, so again, going to be very VFX heavy. So we kind of want to get it all storyboarded. So if there's any storyboard artists out there that are looking to collaborate on anything, they can get in contact. Probably best through Facebook or something like that. If you go onto Stocks and Robbers page, they'll be able to find me through there.
All right, perfect. Deborah, I mean, I know you've already talked about so much of what you're starting to work on as well with your new feature. Are you looking for any collaborators that?
Sure, not particularly for this feature. Like I said, I'm shooting my first feature this summer, shooting in July, and interestingly enough, it's a drama and very, very, very different from Dark Lights in tone, feel, everything, and it deals with the subject matter of homelessness. So I was fascinated to watch the 3 shorts in competition right now that center around homeless, and I watched the seminar the other day. That's really great. But I'm always looking for writers, always looking to collaborate with writers, because I'm more of a director than a screenwriter. So if you're a screenwriter, hit me up. Also, if any of you guys need VFX, hit me up. I'm a VFX whiz and do that for features and can do that remotely from Vegas. I personally think VFX will work best when it's practical effects augmented with digital VFX. I think that's really the cherry on the cake. And if you want to know where to get hold of me, you can get hold of me at my Instagram, at Debbie and Pink. So that's also the name of my website. But oops.
There we go.
There we go.
Nice, guys. Well, it's been great chatting with all of you. Thanks everybody else who tuned in to watch us. My final little spiel here is you can continue to watch the 50 short films, including the ones that were made by these lovely filmmakers, until March 12th. That's this Friday. And please don't forget to go online and vote for your favorite film to win our £1,000 film fund. All right. Thanks for joining the call, guys. It's been a great chat.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.